So I've been thinking a lot about game streaming lately. If you haven't heard by now, the CEO of Take Two has said out in the open that he thinks that commercial game streaming, meaning game streaming with very low latency, is going to be around in about 3 years. And that's probably aggressive, but you can see that this is where the industry is intending on going is game streaming. And I've just been doing some thought experiments on this. The most obvious thing is like, oh, you won't own your games; they're going to own the code. There'll be no more pirating, and like they can revoke your license at any time, censor and update games without your approval because it's all locked behind streaming. Um, that that's that's the obvious truth. But as I continue down this rabbit hole with this thought experiment, just thinking more and more about it, it just gets worse and worse. And the thing is, I can really see this being the future that these companies try to pursue. And I don't know. I just kind of put my business hat on, my CEO leadership hat on, and try to put myself in the mind of their shoes. These people who are disconnected from gaming, these CEOs, this leadership that their only goal is just to make money, and they don't care about games anymore. It doesn't matter if they're CEO of a gaming company or a fast food restaurant. All they're trying to do is make as much money as possible. And so when you start thinking about their benefits of game streaming, it seems obvious that this is the future that they would try to pursue. And one of those things I feel is going to be it cuts the development costs significantly. And that's because in this ever growing economy, you have to just forever growth. There's only two ways of doing it, and when we're at this more mature stage of the gaming industry where there's like the amount of gamers are essentially maxed out, and we've seen this happen with video streaming like Netflix, right? Like they can no longer grow their customer base, so what do? They raise prices. And so you either raise prices on to your customers and charge more money to your existing customer base because you can't really grow it much more anymore, or you cut costs and then of course still raise prices, right? And so the cut costing thing, I was just thinking, it's like when the game is now streaming and no longer downloading on local hardware, I feel like that enables them to not need to make multiple versions of the game. Like they won't need to make a Switch version, a PlayStation version, an Xbox version, or a PC version, especially that PC version that has to account for many different types of hardware configurations. That's the hardest part about PC game development. And they could just have one version of the game, of course, be closer to PC, but just have one version of the game and stream it anywhere. You can think of it as like apps. I think of it a lot as the way it would go about would be the big AAA publishers. Think of the publishers that release their games as game key cards on Nintendo Switch too. Those are the companies that are profit maxing already, right? So your Sega, your Square Enix, your Capcom, your Bandai Namco. I can see them all releasing their own apps, much like Netflix and Disney Plus and Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus and Crunchyroll and Paramount HBO Max. I think that kind of landscape is where gaming might end up going, considering that is how video naturally progressed. And I know that Ubisoft and EA already kind of tried to do this with like Ubisoft Plus and like the EA whatever that's called, and that didn't really take the world by storm or anything. But I think there's a huge difference once it goes to all streaming. Again, with Xbox and Xbox Game Pass, they have like the EA add-on. They still have to make that Xbox version of the game. With the game streaming, I don't think they need to make any specific version of the game. Uh, Download the app on Nintendo Switch 2, download it on PlayStation, download it on Xbox, download PC, do it on your phone, on a smart TV. And these apps, all they really need to be responsible for outside of like, connecting to the game, is that whatever controller you decide to use, if you're using a Nintendo Switch controller, whether it be like through the Nintendo Switch 2 or connected to a smart TV or a PC, a PlayStation controller, an Xbox controller, an 8-bit Do controller, all it needs to do is like interface with that, make it usable, which you can already do on Steam, like, custom map any controller, like emulators, you can do all that stuff already. And then like, yeah, maybe just like based on that, change out the in-game like UI where it like shows the button suppressed, make the A button green, if you're using an Xbox controller, make it an X button if you're using a PlayStation controller. That's really all that the app really needs to do in terms of interfacing the game, and then they can build the game once, and that would be a huge cost saving for the development side. You don't have to make the four different versions of the games. You don't have to make the box art for four, even if it's just like asset box. I don't know. Then like debugging if there's a bug, right? PC, there's all the different hardware configurations. I'm sure that opens up a lot of bugs and troubleshooting. It's like they don't have to support and fix the Switch version, the Xbox, PlayStation, PC version. They just have to fix one version of the game, and so that cut down costs even further. Another thing, like once you get into that streaming platform with an app, you they can advertise this as like, they're gonna have your save too with cloud saving at that point. Be like, hey, you can use any device. You start playing on your PS5, then pick it up on Nintendo Switch 2. Just pick up where you left off, or a smart TV, so you can play on any screen in your house. Leave the house, use your phone, and keep playing it. Log into your account somewhere else. You're at a hotel, just log in your hotel TV with your account. Keep playing the game. And it's just, I think that's gonna be something that they advertise as good, but really, again, that's just gonna be a Trojan horse to get you to use the game. Because like, if you can use it on any device, then you no longer have to really go through these platform stores. You don't have to go through Steam. You don't have to go through PlayStation. You have to go through Nintendo, their shops, and have them take 30% of the cut. So they'll be profit maxing from that point too. Where it's be like, hey, use our app on our phone or go to our website, buy the games there, and you can buy direct from them and circumvent that. And so then they can profit even more on every sale. And yeah, once you get to streaming, again, part of this is also like, if the PlayStation 6 is $1,500, the Xbox Helix is $1,500, and if they don't sell very well out the gate, why would they make PlayStation 6 specific versions of a game or an Xbox specific version of the game? Just make the one version of the game and just let it stream anywhere. Again, I think this would target more towards those big companies that are already trying to profit max in the current age. And then at this point, I think things are just gonna get real messy when it comes to just like subscription fatigue, and there's gonna be no standard anymore at that point, so everyone's gonna try different things. I don't know if these apps, like, they have many options, right? They control all of it, and just like Sony and their dynamic pricing, every company's gonna try to figure out how to make the most money out of their games. You could see, like, I don't know, let's use Sega for an example. Maybe you can download their app and there's a free tier of like a batch of games you just play for free, like the Genesis Sonic games, but there's ads, right? So you can play these games for free, but you have to get through ads, so they'll be making money off of it if you decide to hop in and play. And maybe they do like a $10 a month tier where there's a subset of games. Again, much like, Xbox Game Pass, but try to price it cheaper because, Xbox has to make it so high because they're doing all these like third party like deals and all of that. But this would really be just cutting out the middleman. Like, Sega makes a game, you play it through Sega. And then, you can have the big day one releases as a tier of subscription. You can do a subscription of like ad-free versus ads. So it's like you want access to all the games, but with ads, that's $15 a month. You want no ads, it's $30 a month. Maybe you can just buy games, get a rental license indefinitely till they take it off the store. Maybe since games want to be $100, you do that for $100. Or like if you want ads, we'll sell it to you for $70. So that way game prices aren't really going up. You just have to get ads now for your $70 game. But if you don't want ads, you go $100. I'm sure that they would go even harder on microtransactions because, again, they'll make even more money from the microtransactions since now they have this ecosystem set up where they can circumvent the platform stores. It's all just straight to you, right? Like, there'd be why even have a console at that point? The $1,500 console, I think if this game streaming can, with the low latency, if it could get to the point where us gamers, the ones watching this video right now, can play it, try it out, and be like, damn, that's pretty good. It's not as perfect as a native installed game, but it's pretty good. I think the casual market would like not care at all. And so, yeah, there's streaming fatigue at, $10 a month for another streaming service. But if you don't have to buy a $1,500 console and all you have to do is pay $10 a month to play all your Square Enix games, there's going to be a lot of people, I think, who bite for that. And like, you can just hook it up to your smart TV or your Fire Stick, just play it through there. Again, they tried this with Xbox Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass is a little more expensive, but we're not at the point where the hardware prices are just so high. Individual game prices are so high where it really makes sense. And so, like, as the ceiling gets higher, especially with the GTA launching at $100, soon other people are going to emulate that. the hardware with PlayStation and Xbox Helix, and the RAM prices are going to make hardware just so high that the higher the ceiling goes, the more open that floor is for something with game streaming. And there's gonna be a lot of people who are like, game streaming's the future. You already stream your videos with Netflix with $10 a month. Why wouldn't you do that? And people will like hop between services, do Sega for a month for $10 to switch over to Square Enix for a month. And I could just really see that the price of hardware, the price of owning games just becoming so high for the masses, if they're not already that high already, that people start giving in and caving in for the streaming. If the streaming just becomes good enough, that they'll just take it, and the convenience is going to be better than needing to own the game. They say you'll own nothing and be happy about it, and that just seems like this is another way to do it. And the first way to get to game streaming is to eliminate physical media, get digital only. Once you're digital only, get those prices too high where you no longer can even think about affording to buy the consoles, the hardware, or the digital only games for your permanent rental license until they remove it and revoke it. And then that ushers in game streaming where you don't own it at all and get that recurring subscription going. And maybe there's options they're going to explore all the monetization options. And I can just really envision that being where the industry goes once we get post full digital future. And that's why it's important. I mean, I hope you watched this video and you didn't like anything you heard. I hope. But at the same time, just like think about it, because like if you were one of these CEOs of these companies trying to make as much money as possible, it makes sense why they would want to pursue this model, or just like something very similar to this model, because there's a lot they can do with it. I don't know, you guys. Let me know down in the comments what you think. What's your thought experiment on this? Like, poke holes into my thoughts, or do you have anything to add to the conversation? I would like to know more, but I don't imagine not owning anything is going to be, and being happy about it is going to be the reality of the situation. I think we're going to own nothing and just, give up hope. Or maybe we're happy because we already gave up hope and now we have a little entertainment to keep us numb. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.